Well, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us here today. My name is Mike Sella. I'm the chairman of the Board of County Commissioners here in Clay County. And we have gathered here today to give you some important information regarding the storm, Hurricane Dorian, and our preparations, and more importantly, your preparations and some of the things you should be aware of moving forward over the next 24 to 48 hours. First, I want to apologize, a little less formal than I usually come dressed to these events, but after literally stepping out of the car after a 16-hour ride, I'm here, and this is about as good as it gets for today. But the purpose for me to bring that up is on the way here, literally saw dozens upon dozens of utility service trucks headed this way. Bucket trucks with service people that will be helping us in the aftermath of the storm. There was one as far away as Kent, Ohio, and others from New England. And they're all headed this way through Georgia into Florida to help us after the storm is over and put things back together again. And you might remember that following Irma and Matthew, the daunting task we had of cleanup and putting our community back together, I just want to let you know that those folks are on the way, that the help is coming, and we will persevere after the storm is over with. A lot of folks in the past 24 hours have contacted me directly asking many questions about different things, whether it's evacuations or shelter or school or other things, and that's why we decided to hold this press conference today. So our emergency management team has been working hard. One of the big problems is not that they didn't have answers or a plan, but because of the timing of the storm itself. Let's face it, Hurricane Dorian has got its own mind in terms of timing. It's unprecedented in many ways. A second strongest hurricane in terms of winds at 185 miles per hour. And the storm, as large as it is, stops and basically is almost at a standstill over the Bahamas. And so we do feel for those folks that are there. The people gathered behind me are folks that are working plan and making sure that our community will be as safe as possible as we move through these next 24 to 48 hours. And so without any further ado, let me bring up John Ward. He's our Deputy Incident Commander, who will have some important information for you this afternoon. John,
thank you, Commissioner Sella. As you said, John Ward, I'm working at the Emergency Operations Center, and first of all, I'd like to thank the entire leadership team you see behind us has either been there or had representatives for the past week at the Emergency Operations Center as we've been preparing for Dorian. As we've seen, Dorian has taken a multitude of different tracks and outcomes for our area. We were preparing earlier in the week for what could have potentially been a major flood, and that is now off the table for that. What we do have is we have a major hurricane that is just off our east coast currently. And what I want people to understand is please do not pay attention to single models. We need to pay attention to the size of the storm and the impacts that this is going to cause us. We're starting to narrow down the time frame of when we're going to be receiving our impacts. Our impacts are going to be early Wednesday morning into later Wednesday evening. Now that time can shift as we've seen Dorian do constantly, but the expectation is to prepare for tropical storm winds and potentially hurricane gusts along the river. Due to those conditions, and the rainfall is probably going to be in the area of about 6 to 8 inches. So we're expecting some minor flooding, but nothing significant along Black Creek. A lot of our low-lying areas along the river, Williams Park, along the river, those little inlets, those are what we're going to see inundation. We're already at what we call king tide, or a high tide, which is 2 feet above normal, and we're going to see probably about a 4 to 6 foot surge in the river over the next 36 to 48 hours. So this is what we want to prepare our folks to be ready for. That being said, beginning tomorrow at 3 p.m., Clay County is going to issue a mandatory evacuation for zones A, B, low-lying areas, and any of our vulnerable homes. If you do not know your zone, please go to alert.claycountygov.com to know your zone, or call 284-7703 and ask our information center, and they will assist you in that. We will also be opening shelters tomorrow. Tomorrow at 12 p.m., our Lake Asbury Junior High School, which is our special needs shelter, will open, and we will open 4 general population shelters at 3 p.m. Those shelters are Clay High School, Orange Park High School, Wilkinson Elementary School, and Keystone Heights High School. Keystone Heights High School and Orange Park High School will be designated as pet shelters. Again, if you have any questions about any of this information that we're putting forth, please call our Citizen Information Center. We still have time to prepare. We've been asked a lot as to why we did not execute this earlier. We work with our regional partners across the region and do it in a phased approach. A lot of our coastal counties have hundreds of thousands of people to evacuate. Within those zones, we have about 10,000 people that we're evacuating, so it's just a little bit different on timing. One thing I want to address also, if we have any of our elderly that need help getting to the shelters, please contact our Citizen Information Center, and we are arranging transportation for them to get to the respective shelters, even though it's not a special needs shelter. We've got time. Now's the time to prepare and act your family plan, gas up your vehicles, and prepare for what could be significant impacts. This is going to be, we're going to be potentially extended power outages and a lot of tree canopy that's going to be brought down because of this potential wind event that we're going to have in our county. So again, thank you, and now's the time to prepare.
Thank you, John. We'll hold questions until the end, and then we'll make everybody available. So if you want to answer some questions, get some questions answered, we'll be able to do that for you. I'd like to introduce all the folks that are in the lineup here in the back row. Tony Brown. Tony is councilman of Keystone Heights. Steve Kennedy is the city manager from Green Cove Springs. Orange Park town mayor is Connie Thomas. You've got, who's that, Nicole? Heather Huffman from the health department, sorry. 16 hours in the car, I'm still not making the name of mine. City manager from Keystone Heights, Scott Cornegay. Of course, our vice chair, Gayward Hendry. Then he's next to David Moats, our acting fire chief. And of course, you know John. Got Howard Wanamaker, our county manager. Superintendent of schools, Addison Davis. Sheriff Darrell Daniels, and then of course Commissioner Wayne Bola, all available for questions and answers after we get a little bit further into this. Now let's hear from Darrell Daniels, our sheriff, as to what the sheriff's department is doing for preparations. Sure.
Thank you. Safety first, folks. The Clay County Sheriff's Office assets are both scheduled and in place currently. Remember that the bridges close when there's a sustained wind mileage of 40 miles an hour. So if a part of your plan is to go over a bridge, keep that in mind. Some folks will be under an evacuation order, so don't fear about your properties being vandalized or things like that. The Sheriff's Office is committed to keeping your property safe in your absence. My suggestion is to err on the side of being overly cautious. We remember the lessons learned from Irma. If you live in an area that's prone to flood, it's probably going to flood, and you don't want to wait till the last minute. You remember during Irma and Matthew how quickly the waters rose. So, you know, use that lesson as your gauge to move. You know, it's already been determined when you're supposed to evacuate in the zones that are supposed to evacuate. So I suggest that you do so and don't put yourself in a position where you're a liability to the resources that are already going to be strained during this time frame. Thank you.
And then we'll talk a little bit about the schools with Addison Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Seller. Appreciate your leadership, and Sheriff as well. I want to re-echo is the fact that Mr. Ward said this leadership team has been working diligently in order to protect this community. As it relates to the school district, we have been working to make sure we take every precautionary step to prepare every one of our schools, to make sure that the impact is not significant to our structures so that we can return to normalcy as soon as that we can. As of right now, the community, you fully understand that Tuesday and Wednesday we will not be operational. As it relates to our next steps, it's all contingent on the impact of this hurricane. You know, we expect to have a lot of rainfall, a lot of power outages, and that could really cause a lot of angst related to our schools to be able to reopen, related to Thursday. Please continue to watch oneclay.net in order to have the updated information in order to let you know what we plan to do as a school district. We are trying to get to reopen as soon as we can. We will have post-assessment teams ready and available as soon as we can have accessibility to our streets in order to determine whether or not we have debris, whether or not we have flooding, or whether or not we have power outages, in every one of our pockets of our communities. However, we stand ready to go. We stand ready to be prepared, and we appreciate all of our team in their efforts in order to be prepared for the storm. Once again, we ask everyone to be safe, and my prayers are with each of you.
Thank you, Superintendent Davis. Let's hear from one of our municipalities and one of our partners from Orange Park, Mayor Connie Thomas.
Thank you very much. We just want to let our community know that we stand ready. Our first responders, our town manager, our public works are meeting at this time to make sure that we are standing ready for the days to come. What I want to emphasize is that we are a waterway community. We are flanked by the St. Johns River and Doctors Lake, and we have many tributaries that run in between. During past events, we have saw flooding on those tributaries. If you have flooded in the past from a tributary, it's highly likely that you will flood again, and we want you to take extra precautions because of that. So please, if you're in zones A, B, or you live in a low-lying area, please take precautions and evacuate as needed. Thank you so much and stay safe.
Thank you, Mayor. Now let's hear from our County Manager, Howard Wanamaker.
Hi, good afternoon. Howard Wanamaker, your county manager. Wanted to just brief you all on garbage pickup and waste. We've been working with advanced disposal. Rosemary Hill has been open today. It'll close at 17:30, 5:30 this evening. It'll reopen again at 7:30 tomorrow and be open till 5:30 tomorrow. For anybody doing last trimming, last pickup around your residence and cleaning up, that's the place to drop off. Garbage schedule will be normal tomorrow, and garbage pickup for those areas for a Tuesday. And what will end up happening is the priority will be garbage pickup, it'll be yard debris, and then the third will be recycling. ADS is struggling a little bit with their team members and those that have been recalled or they're told to evacuate. They're limited on transportation on that, and again, the bridges would affect them coming over if they especially live over in St. John's and Duval. So if you have any questions, just call in on that, and we'll also have it on social media. But again, as Wednesday comes, obviously garbage pickup will be suspended that day, and then we'll look to re-engage on Thursday as quickly as possible, and we'll make sure that we also put that information out. And if there's, again, any questions, please let us know via social media or our contact information at the EOC. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard. Also, I want to thank the media for coming out this afternoon to help us get the word out to folks, especially about the evacuations, A, B zones, and the low-lying areas. If you would, please share that when you see it on our social media pages so that we get that word out to as many people as possible. And maybe even the old-fashioned way, maybe you'll pick up the phone and call a family member or a friend that doesn't do social media, or even maybe walk next door, knock on the door, make sure everybody knows what's happening, and we'd appreciate that.